Remember on the boat parade over a year ago when Bruce Arians kept saying how nobody was going anywhere and then nobody went anywhere? This year is starting to feel eerily similar. Not exactly similar, some starters have gone, but maybe the biggest remaining free agent that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had to sign, Carlton Davis, staying in the Bay Area, and it is, I think, very exciting news for Buccaneers fans. Let's start off with this play. It's a good example of really what he can do. It's going to be essentially what's going to turn into a one-on-one matchup. It's zone coverage, a cover 3 zone blitz, and you see where Davis is supposed to cover, the top of the screen area, going up a one-on-one against. There is it's Amari Cooper who he's going to be trying to cover, and watch what happens. Right when this play begins, you see how as soon as Cooper starts to cut in, Davis is doing a good job of putting himself in position as to where if it is a throw, he can run over and knock it away. But there's some separation, right? There is a bit of room for Prescott to try and fit this ball through. However, watch Davis just really quickly sprint in, knock it away. Just a really talented play by Carlton Davis to be able to get over and make that deflection. So this is kind of what he can do. Really good ball skills, and especially I think in zone, he can really make those thrive, but he can do it in man as well. He is definitely a corner who can, I think he's more known for man, but might actually be better at zone. He can play both very well. This one's another example. It's a very similar play. This time he's going up one-on-one against Michael Gallup, but it's kind of a similar idea. It's again going to be this cover 3 zone blitz, and so again, the reason why you're running stuff like this is typically this is how you want to attack a cover 3 zone, is with these underneath routes, and you can even see why, just looking at it on paper, why this can work. There's not really a Tampa Bay player right in that area, so a defender is going to have to make this read and get in quickly, and on this play, that defender is going to have to be Carlton Davis. And look, as you see, so Gallup is going to start to cut, and once again, there's a window to make this throw. You can see why Prescott is trying to make this work. But again, watch Davis's closing speed and his ball skills. The ball gets popped up, and I think it hit an offensive lineman off the head, it looked like. Just kind of a weird play all around there, but a very good one from Carlton Davis. So this is kind of what you want out of a corner a lot of times is, hey, ideally, just never give up separation, but sometimes there's going to be separation, and sometimes it's not going to be your fault. It could just be a schematic thing that gives up separation, but you like a corner who can, when there is those separation plays, and when the ball does get thrown to you, you can still make something good happen. Something like this is another very good example of just good play from Carlton Davis. It's going to be quarters coverage. You once again have Amari Cooper who's going to be going up and going up on him. But watch what happens here. Look, so Cooper starts to run this route, and you see right here, this again, the second that there starts to be movement for Cooper, Carlton Davis is aware of it, and Carlton Davis says, okay, that's where you are. I'm going to be able to take this away. Look at how, once again, there is no separation. Ball gets thrown over their heads regardless, but there was just no separation. That play was never going to work. So like on a key third down, he can take away an Amari Cooper for sure. In fact, a big part of the Buccaneers Super Bowl run was him being able to take away number 1 receivers, and we'll get kind of into maybe his biggest weakness in a second, but typically guys like Michael Thomas, for example, guys like Devontae Adams, he shut both of those guys for the most part down. I mean, Adams still had his catches in the NFC Championship game, but he did a good job against him, especially in that fourth quarter, and Thomas didn't have a catch in that game. You could say he wasn't 100%, but still kind of goes to show when it comes to guys who typically rely on route running and footwork, Carlton Davis can hang with them as good as any corner in the league. Also, something like this. So on this play, you're going to see him going up one-on-one against Kyle Pitts. You could say, hey, corner against a tight end, that's an easy situation. Not when that tight end is Kyle Pitts. Then it becomes a lot more difficult because, again, Pitts is a tight end in quotation marks, I think is fair to say. What you're going to see here is, so it's the one-on-one matchup. That's what I've highlighted, Davis versus Pitts. And you see Kyle Pitts kind of do a good job of faking as though he's going to the inside, gets the outside leverage here, so that's what he wants. He is going to cut to the outside, so that's what he's trying to accomplish. But again, watch how Davis can close here, and even though there was some separation, he is able to reach over and knock the ball away. It's possible to say that with a perfect throw, that's a completion. In fact, I think that's fair to say, so there are examples of him getting beat because there's examples of every corner getting beat. But even when he gets beat sometimes, it still takes a really good throw to make it work, and that's kind of what a corner's job is. Typically, it's less about making sure that a quarterback can't hit you and more about just trying to make it as difficult as possible for them to not hit you, but hit the receiver that they're trying to throw to. Now, there's one more play I want to talk about, and this is from last year. This is not from the most, as in like 2 years ago, not the most recent year. And the reason why I'm showing this play, it's just a good example of the way you can beat Davis. This is his biggest weakness, is he's not the fastest of corners. His 40 time was 4.53, which is definitely on the slow end. In fact, a lot of times guys who run, can't break the 4.5 mark can really struggle, and sometimes can't even be NFL players because of that. You think about like Vernon Hargreaves. A big reason why he ended up not being a success was because he didn't run very fast. So like on this play, there are two safeties deep, but they're going to be a lot closer towards the middle, so the sidelines can still be open, and you have Marquez Valdes-Scantling on Carlton Davis, which in a vacuum, you would sit here and say, okay, well, that's a mismatch for Valdes-Scantling. How is he going to get open? Well, because he's faster. Look at how, right when this play begins, even the contact did help slow Valdes-Scantling down a little bit, but there's still some separation right here. There's a window where you can make this throw because of the fact that it's a speed thing. I mean, the reality is when you're faster than somebody, there's only so much you can do as a corner to really make that work. Now, there are things you can do, and Davis does a great job at that, but you typically see, and you saw Tampa Bay kind of oftentimes, like in the Super Bowl, for example, they wouldn't leave Davis on Tyreek Hill as much. They would kind of let Jamel Dean, their faster corner, do that simply because it's like, hey, speed is kind of an issue. Now, it's also worth mentioning on this play, beautiful throw from Rodgers. Davis tried to dive and knock it away, could not. So that's a factor, and that's, I think, fair to bring up on top of all of this. But still, I mean, this is kind of why we saw for someone like Carlton Davis, it's why he can, be better suited against, weirdly, it's kind of that one weird situation where he would do better against Devontae Adams than he does against Valdes-Scantling. That's his skill set. Those are his strengths, and those are his weaknesses. As for the money itself, it's actually a pretty reasonable deal. Just 3 years, $45 million. So $15 million a year. I was expecting closer to 20. I'm very happy with this. I think it's a good move. I think that, again, the salary cap isn't real, right? You can re-sign guys. It's more about the actual owners and what they're willing to pay than it is the cap itself. So that's always an important detail to note here with these things. So, the Glazers willing to spend money if the team is competitive. The team is competitive. I don't know if the Jensen and Carlton Davis moves happen if Brady doesn't re-sign. Now, Jensen probably, it seemed like it was in the works because it happened that night, but who knows? Maybe they kind of let Carlton Davis walk and say, let's sort of rebuild. But now that they know Brady is back, they're not rebuilding. They are retooling and trying to be competitive, and they get Carlton Davis, they keep Godwin, and they keep Jensen. Those were probably the biggest free agents. Still some work to do to get the full roster. They still need both guard positions to be filled up. Maybe Aaron Stinney is one of those guys, but probably not. So this was the big one, though. Could you need another interior defensive lineman as well? Preferably Sue and Goldson would come back, but maybe they want to get younger there too. Who knows? But hey, you got draft capital too. You can use that. So this team looking a lot better. What a 24 hours for Tampa Bay. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, my cat meowed. Might have heard that. But of course, as always, thanks for watching.